Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Autodesk Gallery. I'm Pascal DeFranzo. I'm Senior Vice President of Autodesk, and I'm delighted to have all of you here. I'm also honored to be able to introduce and welcome to the Autodesk Gallery the House Minority Leader, Nancy Pelosi. Not only is Leader Pelosi one of the most distinguished public officials to serve in our Congress, but she also is a forceful leader and advocate for high-speed rail and infrastructure investments generally. And also, being in San Francisco, we're very fortunate to have her as our representative to Congress. So I welcome Leader Pelosi and formally would like to introduce Rod Dearden, who will welcome Leader Pelosi as well. Rod, as you all know, is a guru in the transportation space. I'll just take a few moments to make a few remarks about his background. He's currently the executive director of the Mineta Transportation Institute. He's known as a father of modern transit service in Silicon Valley. He's chaired more than 100 national, international, state, and local programs related to transportation and the environment. And among his many roles, he was appointed by Governors Davis and Schwarzenegger to the California High-Speed Rail Authority Board, of which he is chair emeritus. So please join me in welcoming Rod.
Thank you very much. And again, I apologize for my voice. It's getting better, but slowly. Let's thank Autodesk again for giving this space for this conference. They are very progressive, they're very thoughtful, they're very community-minded, and in making this available, they help take one more little step, but a very important little step for high-speed rail in California. Now, let me say that you're in San Francisco. Welcome to Nancy's town. We who have known her for more years than she looks old, goodness, I can't believe it. I don't know how I got gray hair and got old and she didn't. But we now have to call her Leader Pelosi. But we thoroughly enjoyed calling her Speaker Pelosi some time ago and look forward to doing that again in the future. That deserves a round of applause, folks. She is a profoundly effective, but also a uniquely cordial and caring and nice person. And you'll find that out as you have a chance to talk to her. Next week, we celebrate the 25th year of her serving in Congress. She was elected the first week of June 25 years ago. And there's all sorts of celebrations occurring throughout San Francisco and the region. It kind of culminates, though, in the renaming of the main artery through Golden Gate Park, the central park of the city of San Francisco, in Nancy's honor. And that is as far and as loving as a city can be to a favorite daughter. And Nancy is of the Baltimore de Alessandros. Her father was the mayor of Baltimore, a very successful long-term mayor, political dynasty there. But instead of staying home and having it the easy way, she married Paul Pelosi, who we had sent there to capture her. And came out here and raised 5 children. Now, while she was doing that, she also became very, very well-respected and effective in the Democratic Party in San Francisco and throughout the state and nation, and went on then to be elected to Congress. She is the leader in the nation in a broad spectrum of activities, from combating AIDS and HIV, all the way through parks, through housing and services to disadvantaged people, to the health care bill, and more appropriately and importantly, for our purposes, climate change, battling climate change, mass transportation, and most importantly, high-speed rail. She has been the core, the cornerstone, the anchor in Congress in supporting high-speed rail programs for decades. Without her, we wouldn't be here. With her, we will build a high-speed rail system for the state of California. I could go on with all the superlatives and take all of her time, and as an ex-politician, I would easily do that. But I don't think that's appropriate. Let's welcome the leader of the Democratic Party in the United States Congress, Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Rod Dearden. Thank you all very much. Good afternoon. Thank you for your very nice welcome. Thank you, Rod Dearden, for your lovely and warm and personal introduction, for your friendship for more than 3 decades, and many of us active in civic life in the San Francisco Bay Area learned a lot from Rod Dearden over the years about transportation issues. In his service in elective office, in appointive office, his leadership has been indispensable to us. So it's an honor for me to be introduced to you by him. Thank you, Rod Dearden. So is it 30, more than 30 years? Yeah, more than 30 years. Right. Now, here we are, gathered in this fabulous space. Isn't it just great? Let us thank our host Autodesk for their hospitality here, and to see the connection between smart manufacturing and the development of what we're going to have newly to replace Doyle Drive. It's almost finished, the Bay Bridge and other initiatives that do it faster, smarter, cheaper. Thank you so much for your hospitality here. I want to acknowledge Andy Coons for his leadership as president of the U.S. High-Speed Rail Association, and again, thank him for his leadership. More on that in a moment. And Dan Richard, aren't we blessed in California? Here he is, Dan Richard, we're here. We've known each other quite a while too, Dan, in one capacity or another along the way. And his path to this place where he is a blessing to us all, because he knows the issues, he knows the challenges, he knows the personalities, he knows how to get the job done, and he is doing just that. Thank you, Dan Richard. So here we are in this magnificent place where technology takes us into the future on the weekend that we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of one of the ultimate to us infrastructure initiatives, the Golden Gate Bridge. It was the same year, actually, that we built the Bay Bridge, and now we see the technology taking us to a newer, better Bay Bridge. But that was all during the Depression. It was a time where people didn't have money and the rest, but the priority was to build American infrastructure, knowing what that meant in terms of promoting commerce, improving the quality of life for the people in this region. It's in keeping with the vision and vows of our founders that we would be the best. Thomas Jefferson, 200 years ago, some of you that I've seen at these conferences before know that I'm fond of saying Thomas Jefferson, 200 years ago, well, more than that now, he started what he called the Gallatin Project, where he tasked his Secretary of the Treasury, Gallatin, to build put forth an infrastructure initiative. It would follow the Lewis and Clark expedition to build the roads and the infrastructure to take us into America. The Louisiana Purchase, which he had I guess you would say, made happen, and then we needed to build into it. Things like the Erie Canal, Cumberland Road, all of those things would not have been happening without the vision of someone to say that we need to build our country in this way. 100 years later, Teddy Roosevelt, he built in honor of the centennial, he established the National Park Service, the green manifestation of the infrastructure of America, recognizing that significance to our country. Since then, we've had, as I said, two bridges crossing the water here, but in the 50s, and another time when the economy wasn't great and money wasn't flowing from the federal government, President Eisenhower in a bipartisan way, all of these things, put forth the interstate highway system, which was so remarkable. It was a national security initiative to connect America. But it was also something that promoted commerce, improved the quality of life, connected families and communities, improved America. So now we are on the challenge into the future. So many things between then and now. But how important it is for us to have this high-speed rail. Again, improving the environment, the quality of life. The reason I'm a little bit late here this morning is I came up from LA, and it was just like I didn't know if I was ever going to get here or what time they were going to find a gate to let us off the plane and the rest. So it was fine. But the fact is we need this high-speed rail to connect the people of California, north and south, and as a model to the nation. And it is, and I've been on the plane, the Shanghai high-speed rail. When I was in China that same trip, and I told the authority, said you can go any place you want. Well, that is except for Tibet. So I said I want to go to Tianjin and see what they're doing there with the electric cars. Well, little did I know that that trip would take me on high-speed rail from Beijing to Tianjin, say a distance of here to Fresno, 29.5 minutes. That's what the pilot said at the end of the trip. It's usually 30 minutes. But. So it's happening, and it has to happen here. And for the life of me, and I understand motivation and priorities and regional differences and the rest, it's hard for me to understand why this isn't something that is so self-evident that we need to do in our state and in other parts of the country as well. It is the future. Our state prides itself in being the future. We like to think that we do things first here in California. And some of the things about it, when Thomas Jefferson instituted this Gallatin project, they were called internal improvements. And throughout the 19th century, the early part, there was a debate on the subject of early improvements. Henry Clay, who was the speaker at the time, I just went last year to the 200th anniversary of his being in Kentucky, the 200th anniversary of his being named speaker. That would be 1811, the anniversary. It was a big competition because it was thought these projects will largely be built in the north, because they won't build them in the south, you know, the slavery issue and the rest. And of course, he was from Kentucky, sort of on the border, but insisting on these. There was a sort of a sociological debate, as well as a budget debate, as well as a north-south kind of a situation. But we really shouldn't have this. Shouldn't be any part of what we are doing now. So I don't fully understand how we would stand in the way and something for the 21st century economy and beyond. And here's what's really important, but I love is the California impact. I'm going to read some of this to shorten my remarks. To strengthen local businesses, our state has set a goal of hiring small businesses to complete 30% of the work on this project. And we are working to ensure that women and minority-owned businesses are central to that effort. To bolster our workers, our efforts will create 100,000 jobs over the next 5 years and 1 million jobs over the life of the project. To support the middle class, we'll provide cheaper and more convenient options to commuters and to offer families the option of traveling without a car. And really, a lot of the leadership in Congress came from my colleague, Jim Costa. I thought he was going to be here, but my understanding is now he isn't. For some reason, he is not. But I want to thank him publicly for his relentless, persistent, dissatisfied advocacy for this in the Congress of the United States. And certainly you heard from Loretta Sanchez about and her leadership on and the unity in our caucus, our Democratic caucus anyway, on this subject. Many of us know Dan Richard a long time, and when he stepped up to the plate on this, we knew that it would be professional, it would be done in a timely fashion, and it would be done in the best possible way. So Dan Richard, thank you for your leadership again and again and again. Because of him, we have confidence in the project, and he knows we've met with our two senators, Senator Feinstein, Senator Boxer, and their ongoing long-term respect for him has, shall we say, shortened the time between when we can all come to agreement on how we go forward. We're proud of our governor, Jerry Brown. He's been relentless on this. This is really important to him, and he's had to fight the fight on it. And again, his confidence in Dan and others involved in this. Our president, this is a priority for him. Ray LaHood, the Secretary of Transportation, as you know, is fully committed to this. Some of this is springs from legislation that we had earlier, but it's not an endless commitment. And the state of California has to step up to the plate legislatively, and I'm confident that they will. But especially since Dan has ironed out some of the concerns that members of the state legislature had. We may not get unanimity, but we certainly have consensus, and we just have to do it in a timely way, as I'm sure the Secretary informed the legislators, because there's some people who don't believe in high-speed rail and like to see this money used another way. There are other people who want it for their state, and we want it for here, and have made compromises. So it is, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. I don't know why it's controversial, except you've ironed out the local concerns on it. But the president and Ray LaHood, an economy for the 21st century, this is part of it. And we've told you that this California plan has sort of been reshaped, and you know about it, but I want to take pride in the work that has been done for the plan to be faster, better, and cheaper. Better by developing a blended system built on existing rail lines, you know this. Faster by making early investments with early benefits. Cheaper by reducing the cost for this effort by 1/3. That's impressive, isn't it? Again, under the governor's leadership, California's approach reflects the entrepreneurial spirit fundamental to our state, and actually fundamental to the place that we are at Autodesk, very entrepreneurial, fresh and new in its thinking. So, you know, I'm really excited about some of the things we've done on infrastructure, hearkening back to Thomas Jefferson and President Eisenhower. We have Trans-Bay Terminal, we have the Central, the Third Street Rail, we have the Central Subway. We know that building the infrastructure really builds a new life for our community in every way, personally, commercially, for just attracting people to a place because you can get the job done in a timely fashion. Transportation, it's really, it's about a lot of things. In the earliest days of our republic, a message could only travel Autodesk as fast as a ship could sail or a horse could gallop. Is that faster than trotting? I think it is, yeah. Or run, whatever. And now we have here something where people can bring their ideas personally, of course technologically in real time, but can personally take their message to wherever in the fastest possible way if we can implement this high-speed rail. So I come here today to thank all of you for the role you play in promoting high-speed rail, to acknowledge the leadership of those in our state who are taking responsibility for it, to wish you well in your deliberations so this can happen in many more places in America, to appreciate the setting we're in at Autodesk, to see the connection between technology and the future as seen through the eyes of infrastructure. And to just say that to all of you, thank you for your leadership, and close by saying our hopes are riding on you, just to be punny for a moment. Thank you all very much for the opportunity to look at.